Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the last half term of the school year, believe it or not. It's been a lovely sunny week, so I hope you've all had a really nice bit of time off, spent a bit of time in the garden, nice bit of sun, and are refreshed and ready to get stuck into whatever this term is holding for you. It's been quite a long time in lockdown now, of course. I think we're on to 10 weeks now. And I'm going to read you a story in a minute about friendship and love. And the first thing I want you to do before I start reading that is to think of, let's say, three people who you really miss seeing over the last 10 weeks. Now, some of you might straight away think of family. Try and get a family member or two, absolutely fine. Try and have a friend in there as well. So just take a couple of seconds now just to think of three people that you've really missed seeing over the last 10 weeks. Got them? Okay, let's look at today's story. A lot of these front covers I think will be quite familiar to you, actually. You'll know Oliver Jeffers, big Gorsey favourite. A lot of these stories straight away you'll recognise. How to Catch a Star, Great Paper Caper, The Fate of Fausto I read to you in assembly I think a couple of months ago. A lot of you will recognise the Day the Crayons Quit. He's absolutely brilliant author and illustrator. So one of the book I'm going to read to you today is one of his. Lost and Found by Oliver Jeffers. Once there was a boy, and one day he found a penguin at his door. The boy didn't know where it had come from, but it began to follow him everywhere. The penguin looked sad, and the boy thought it must be lost. So the boy decided to help the penguin find its way home. He checked in the Lost and Found office, but no one was missing a penguin. He asked some birds if they knew where the penguin came from, but they ignored him. Some birds are like that. The boy asked his duck, but the duck floated away. He didn't know. That night, the boy couldn't sleep for disappointment. He wanted to help the penguin, but he didn't know how. The next morning, he discovered that penguins come from the South Pole. But how could he get there? He ran down to the harbour and asked a big ship to take them to the South Pole, but his voice was much too small to be heard over the ship's horn. So together, he and the penguin would row to the South Pole. The boy took his rowboat out of the cupboard and they tested it for size and strength. They packed everything they would need, and together they pushed the rowboat out to sea. They rowed south for many days and nights, with the boy telling stories all the way. The penguin listened to everything that the boy said. They floated through good weather and bad, when the waves were as big as mountains, until they came to the South Pole. The boy was delighted, but the penguin said nothing. Suddenly it looked sad again as the boy helped it out of the boat. The boy said goodbye and floated away. But as he looked back, the penguin looked sadder than ever. It felt strange to be on his own. And the more he thought, the more he realised he was making a big mistake. The penguin wasn't lost. He was just lonely. Quickly he turned the boat around and headed back to the South Pole as fast as he could. At last he reached the pole again. But where was the penguin? The boy searched
and searched, but he was nowhere to be found. Sadly, the boy set off for home. There was no point telling stories, because there was no one to listen, except the wind and the waves. But then the boy saw something in the water ahead of him. Closer and closer he got, until he could see the penguin. And so the boy and his friend went home together, talking of wonderful things all the way.
Now, I've come back to this image to finish on, because this is a story about friendship, it's about love. And of course, in the story, the boy only really realises how strong the relationship is with the penguin when they're apart. And that might resonate with quite a few of you about how you felt about people over the last 10 weeks. So what I want you to do now is think back to a few minutes ago when I asked you to put those 3 people in your head, those 3 people that you started this saying that you really missed. And what I want you to do is answer this question for me. How did they know? How do they know that you really miss them? Have you told them? Have you spoken to them via Skype or FaceTime or anything like that? Have you texted them to tell them that you miss them? Whether that's a family member or a friend, how do they know? Because that's really important. It's really nice. It says a lot for your relationships with family and friends that you do miss them. But it's really important that they know that you miss them. Some of you might have noticed the Love Wins t-shirt that I'm wearing, which is a charity t-shirt for Comic Relief, designed by Charlie Mackesy, who wrote this book, which some of you will know very well. Year 4, you should know this very, very well by now. And I've just picked out a few pages, which I'd just like to share with you if you don't know the story already, because I think they're particularly important for where we are at the moment. The style of his drawings is very, very distinctive. So here's a very important page. I think it says, "When the big things feel out of control, focus on what you love right under your nose." So what's happening at the moment is very big. There's very little we can do to control it, unfortunately. But thinking about the story we've just read and thinking about those people that you miss, focus on that. Focus on your relationships. This one, I think as well, hugely relevant for where we are at the moment. This storm will pass. It's taking a long time, isn't it? It's taken a long time. We've been 10 weeks, like I say. It will probably be a good few more weeks for a lot of you. But it will pass. We will get back to normal. And you will all be at school very soon together, hopefully. And this last one, which again, same sort of thing. I will read it to you. "We have such a long way to go," sighed the boy. "Yes, but look how far we've come," said the horse. Now, some of you are going to be getting really tired of lockdown at the moment. Your mums and dads will be as well, quite frustrated at times, and a bit sad in many ways. The reason for that, for a lot of you though, will be all down to the power of your relationships. People are getting frustrated with spending so much time on lockdown because they want to see the people they love, they want to see their friends, they want to see their family. So in amongst all the frustration about not being able to go and do things, all of that is about the power of relationships and those relationships that you have with friends and family. So on that note, I'm going to finish by asking you to do something over the course of this week related to those 3 people who you've thought about. And what I want you to do, whether you've already done it or not, is let them know that you miss them. Now, that's entirely up to you how you do that, because it will vary. You might want to phone Granny or Grandad to tell them that you love them, you can't wait to see them again. If it's one of your friends at school, you might not want to phone them up and say, "I love you and I can't wait to see you again." However, you can still text them or however you communicate with them and just say, looking forward to being able to play with you again, play football together, play a video game together, just sit and read together. It's nice for them to hear that you miss them. So I'm going to finish on that. I'm going to leave you with this slide here, that again, in amongst all the frustration and any sadness that you might be feeling at the moment, please remember the power of your relationships, the people that you love, the people that you miss, and remember always, love wins. Thank you, have a fab week and be good to each other. Bye bye.